Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today is the first program of this series with the title of History of Banking. Purposely I have decided to select first program about history of the banking, as I believe or understand that it's the history which develops a proper perspective about any subject, and through history one becomes able to understand that how any subject started to develop and what were the stages which supported it throughout in different times, which helped to have the thing which we have in the current times. Banking is not a new thing. Many people or even professionals of the banking are of the view that it probably started with the Bank of England in 18th century. As per the archaeological sites and archaeological record, banking started almost in 2000 BC. The archaeological sites tells us that as soon the farming started and the trade started, different traders started to lend money against different crops to the farmers. That is why there were two centers of the old civilizations where we see traces of banking in improved form or in a better form. That was one in Mesopotamia and other was in India. Both of these places or both of these civilizations were having an improved trading system through which not only that they started to have scheme of loans, but as well as we see that there was a concept of mortgage against which somebody gets a loan by pledging its grains. Later Egypt and Greece also participated and started to have same kind of banking system among these cities. We see a very amazing thing in all these cities, that the main hub of this banking systems were placed in the worshipping places like temples. These temples were the sign of religious rituals. So most of the people living around these temples used to respect these places, and people who are running these temples like priests, they used to pledge their stocks in these temples, and the priest was the person who used to lend money against these stocks. Later on, these things started to develop on a fast track. By the 14th century, people in those areas, beside having deposits, stocks, pledges, they also started to have a concept of usury as well. Modern banking started in 14th century from Italy. There were two main families who properly shaped modern banking. One is Bardi and then the second one is the Medici. Probably you have listened about the Medici. There is a famous Netflix series on this family as well. These two families properly developed the modern structure of the banking, through which we started to see the modern buildings of the banks, the loan systems. I think that this modernity came into existence or came into the running due to the fact that as the transportation became much easier for the traders, so traders started to have better travel around the earth, and as the trade increases, the economic and financial positions also increased. The realization of having a strong, proper banking system also developed. Then we see another jump, and that jump is from 18th century, when Bank of England started in 17th century, and that was due to the fact that when England had a war with the France, Bank of England was developed to support the financial needs of that war. And since then, that bank is serving the UK so much that their whole economic and financial system developed around it. So from these things we understand that the banking system not only supported the transportation systems, the economic systems, the business systems, the war, the technological growth, as well as there is another way to look at it, that there are three Abrahamic religions, that is Judaism, Christianity and Islam. For all of these religions, riba was haram or forbidden in these religions. Like for Judaism, Jews were allowed to have usury from non-Jewish people, but it was not allowed to place or to charge usury from Jews. But later on, with the passage of time, when money markets and financial markets flourished, and the whole economy started to develop fastly, then even Jews started to participate in the usury systems. Same was for the Christians. Usury was also forbidden for them, but later on they also started to use usury for their banking system. As well as the third Abrahamic religion, Islam, strongly negates the usury or riba, but to run with the global economy, we see that in last 30-40 years, Muslims have started to develop their own concept of Islamic banking so that they can match their economic needs while avoiding Western concept of usury and develop their own banking concepts. So this is how banking kept on developing in different stages and in different centuries, so much so that now we have reached to a digital era where the banking is in totally new shape, where products and services are dependent upon the digitalization of the services. And this era is the most glowing and most fascinating era for the banking. In other episodes, we will see that how this era is basically supporting economic and financial activity of the banking systems. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.